How's it going, everyone? Today we have got a
1987 Lotus Excel SE.
Oh, amazing. Let's get into the interview. What would be the specs of the car?
It's a 2.2 slant-four Lotus Twin Cam on twin 45 Lotus, as standard as used in the Lotus Esprit and the Esprit Turbo.
Yep.
The running gear in this car, however, is totally Toyota Supra.
Is it?
And so is the steering column, so are the pop-up headlight motors, the brakes, everything. The gearbox, there's a fantastic 5-speed gearbox in it, which again is out of a Toyota Supra. So it's possibly, until they brought out the Evora, the most reliable Lotus there was.
Yeah.
It was also a full 4-seater.
Well, I mean, that helps with practicality.
Yeah, well, I don't like getting in the back, I'm a wee bit big. People look, but you're not going that fast.
Well, I mean, it's the noise of it. Like, you haven't done anything to the exhaust, no?
No, it's totally standard.
Okay.
Well, it's stainless steel, but it's standard, you know.
Yeah, standard for Lotus standards.
Yeah.
What is the history of the car?
It was originally for about 14 years in one family in England where I bought it from, and when it arrived it needed quite a lot of work. Paintwork wise, the car's fine. I've had the wheels done. The car has been totally gone over in the engine bay and in the suspension and brakes. It has the same brakes as the Supra, so it's ventilated discs all round, and it has quite rare in that it is air conditioning. And in a fiberglass car in the summer, you'd need air conditioning if there's any hot weather.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, there's a new condenser and all in it, and it's all working. There's the part steering motors replaced, the radiators a twin core now, though they do have twin fans as standard.
So what about the manufacturing process that Lotus made this car?
This car is made by plastic injection moulding, which was new in those days. It's not laid up in the old fiberglass way, and you can see the black body line up the side of the car. This is to cover where they moulded the top half and bottom half of the car in two separate processes and then glued them together basically. And the thing is, your bum is about 2 inches off the ground, so we're doing 28 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And you think you're doing about 50. But you'll find out about low cars, you know, that it's an illusion.
Race car, sure.
Yeah.
How have you found your ownership of the car?
When I first got the car, it required an awful lot of work, as I previously said, but we have done most of the usual Lotus things. The one thing that we did, which the car is galvanised chassis and a fiberglass body, so there's no rot. Believe it or not, the back bar that joins the rear seatbelt mounts was mild steel and wasn't even painted. So they rot out, so there's a replacement for them, which she has now with stainless steel. That's the only bit of the car that can rot, and it's been replaced. You know, so it's, the engine of the car is first class. The oil pressure is fantastic, and always has been. The only thing is, Lotus is lots of trouble, usually serious. And the ignition on them, there's a rev limiter built into the standard ignition, which becomes defective and the car won't run. So she's had the Lotus bits ignition, electronic ignition put into her, but she's proven to be very prone to sensitivity on the resistance in the plug leads and coil lead, and she tends to cook the coils.
Yeah.
If you let her sit and run, she'll just cook coils, and
right.
yeah, so. But it's something I'm working on, you know.
And how often do you roughly turn on the engine?
I start her every 1 to 2 weeks, maximum 2 weeks. Same with all my cars.
Do you do that just to like keep all the fluids running through? Yeah, fair enough.
And the more modern cars like the Jaguar, you'll find that if you leave them sitting, they'll flatten the battery because the computers never turn off. Same with the Range Rover. And the Jaguar, if you let her sit for 4 weeks, you would have a totally dead battery, and every warning light in this country would come on. It's just the way they are. I have one of those solar chargers that I put into the OBD port.
Yeah. What would be the rarity of this car?
There's only 49 red Excel SEs on the road in the UK registered. That's the only Lotus Excel SE that I know of in Northern Ireland. But they're they're much rarer than the Esprit, because everybody wanted the James Bond car.
Yeah.
So they're all rescued. These weren't.
Okay.
And there was a lot of them. People stole the engine and gearboxes out of them for competition cars.
And are they common in Northern Ireland?
No, there's not. I don't think I haven't seen another one. I'm not aware of another one at any of the shows I've been to either. So maybe there is. I don't know. But people have them in their sheds and don't bring them out. You don't know.
But as a daily driver, it's quite drivable. As long as you remember to keep it above 2,000 revs.
How's the pedal situation?
Very small and very close together. And the clutch is very heavy.
Yeah.
She's got powered steering and she's got powered brakes, but the clutch is heavy.
So this is one of the last cars that Colin Chapman had major input in. Could you tell me a bit more about it?
Yes, he had the major input into the design, and as a result, because of his height, but I guess I can, with the seat fully forward, I can just about reach the pedals. He was a tall big lad, you know, and it's designed for him,
Yeah.
But it's the old ad lightness.
Yes.
He still followed that, and the car for what is basically a 4-seater, family car, handles like a race car.
Even though this is like you say, the gearbox takes up a lot of room, like you still have loads and loads of leg room. Like I cannot touch the back of the wall. And
Seats forward.
and I'm 6'2".
Well, Chapman wasn't short.
Yeah, clearly not. What would be some of the quirks of this car?
Obviously, it's got the single wiper, which you can see. It's got the pop-up headlights from the Supra, as we'd mentioned. It's got Citroen XM door mirrors.
Yeah.
The handles are for Marina. The rear lights are off an SD1 Rover. And the steering column, most people, the first time they get into it is break the key in the ignition, because there's a button on the top of the steering column they have to hold down to turn the key to get it out. It's out of a Toyota Carina.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so it's exactly the same as Toyotas from the 80s were all like that. You had to hold the button down to get the key out.
So it's just kind of a bit of a parts car.
Well, basically that's a Lotus, that's what, and they're still using Toyota engines and drivetrains, so it's what Lotus do. They're a small manufacturer, so they rip off everything they can. The wheels have been refurbished, they're standard, but the hubcaps are actually cast aluminium. Incredibly heavy for what you'd think for Lotus and add lightness, but it's what they are.
Must have been what Colin Chapman wanted.
I don't know, I think it was more the styling and marketing people.
Well, am I right with saying then technically the engine is closer to you than the front axle?
Yeah.
So then
You actually look, the engine is, pretty well back against the bulkhead.
Yeah.
So it's almost mid-engine.
Yeah.
It's very close. I think it's 52-48 weight distribution,
What would I say? Mid-front engined? I think that's what. That's one of the terms.
Yeah, that's good. It's front engine, but it's very close to actually being mid-engined.
Yeah. So tell us a little quirk about the engine.
The engine is actually based on the Vauxhall Magnum slant-four, which was a cast iron engine, but Lotus took the block and made it out of all aluminium and put their own twin cam heads on it. This car, being the SE, is the 180 brake horsepower engine instead of 160, and has got performance cams and high compression pistons in it. As a result, there's nothing below 2,000. Yeah, and if you try to accelerate below 2,000 revs, you just bog down. But it's, you learn how to drive it.
And am I right with saying the engine's slanted?
Yes, it's slanted over at an angle, and that's exactly the same as the Vauxhall engine. They just made it out of aluminium, basically. But it's the same engine as in the Esprit, the Esprit Turbo. They only went away with it when the Esprit V8 came out towards the end.
Oh, I love that noise.
Can't beat twin chokes.
Now it's time to rate the car. So, for Future Classic, since it is a 1987 Lotus, and it was the last Lotus that Colin Chapman ever made, we have given it a 7. Now for daily, this was designed to be a practical Lotus, but practicality and Lotus don't really work in the same sentence together, so because of those reasons, we have given it a 4. Now, for what it hurt, that car has had quite a lot of work on it already, and Lotus does stand for lots of trouble, usually serious, so we've given it a 4. Now for fun, this is an incredibly fun car. It sounds brilliant, it looks great, it's a rear-wheel drive 1980s Lotus. Oh, you just can't beat it. So, because of those reasons, it gets Smile and Never Stops, which is a 7. Now the total comes to 22 out of 40, which is 55%. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow our podcast channel and vlog channel, link in the description, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Nope, absolutely not. Chapman wouldn't have won near him. Yeah, it's a race car. You don't put a limited slip diff in a race car, son. That's a rally car. You see, I knew you were going to ask that. I should have put money on. I knew you were going to ask that.